Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time you've all been waiting for. So grab a hold of your pocket protectors and join us for NerdWorld!
Hey everybody, it's John Pretto here at NerdWorld. Welcome to NerdWorld episode 58. And we have a very special guest today. I'm super excited to learn more about this guy. I've known him for a year and a half. Met him through Office Hours, Alex Lindsay's Office Hours. He is one of the smartest nerds on the program and the panelists, and we're happy to learn more about him. And let's welcome everybody to the show. Jason?
Hey, man.
Thank you for being here, buddy. We really appreciate it. We'll have fun today. We're going to be 1 hour-ish. And we've got Colin, we've got Chris, we've got Angel. Meet Jason. We're going to ask him a few questions and have a good time today. That's what we're here to do. And the opener and the closers we have to do in post because we couldn't. 5 nerds couldn't make a video play out. Mr. Fenwick.
How many nerds does it take for audio to get audio working right?
Hilarious. Jason,
well, as you said, we need Greg Curta.
We did
just this stuff.
Where did you grow up?
Where did I grow up?
Yeah.
I grew up just south of Cleveland in what has to be the murder capital of the United States, a tiny little town called Youngstown, Ohio, a little suburb. Tiny, tiny little place.
Isn't that been in some songs?
It has. Bruce Springsteen had a song called Youngstown, and you couldn't walk 5 feet in the city without either getting shot or hearing that played somewhere.
Sounds like a great place to grow up.
Yeah, well, you know, it's the lake effect is real. That's all I'm going to say. Seasonal affective disorder is no joke. So yeah, I left, and I love it where I am now.
And how old were you when you left?
18, 19.
And
Finished
so
high school, went to college, and yeah, never looked back.
Really? And you went directly to New Mexico?
Well, yeah. So my parents got divorced my junior year, right? So I was applying to schools, and I, didn't really care about that because I was practically out. Stayed with a good friend of mine for my senior year of high school, and it was really just a matter of where my stuff went.
Wait a minute, Jason, you have friends?
I've been told that every now and again.
Did you send their check this month?
Today, I think I have friends. Today it was, let's send Jason to NAB and put him in a sumo suit, which is also a hazmat suit.
Yeah, I heard, yes.
Oh, yeah.
This is what happens when you try to determine whether you have friends by looking on Facebook.
With friends like these.
Right, yeah.
So you ended up in Albuquerque at the age of 18?
No. So my parents got divorced, right? Spent a year with a friend of mine, a guy that I grew up with. So my senior year, my parents were actually gone. And it was really just a matter of where my stuff ended up.
To live at your friend's house.
Yeah, they did.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. And I got into a minimal amount of trouble, which was impressive at the time. And then it was just a matter of, go home for a summer. And it was really just a matter of, where was home now? Because both of my parents left.
Do you talk to them today, or are they still with us?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I don't dislike my parents. They just both left where I grew up.
That's an interesting story.
So John skipped a step here.
Oh, no.
Now, in NerdWorld, we typically first review what each of us are drinking.
Okay.
So John apparently has some tea laced with Bud Light.
That's redneck Lipton to you.
Or something. I don't know. I have a cherry lambic in what has to be the most irritating beer packaging I've ever seen. So it's going to take me the next 10 minutes to open this packaging.
I feel like I should curtsy just looking at that thing.
Isn't that great? So not only do you need to cut the foil but you need to remove the beer bottle cap, and then you need to remove.
Video.
Then you
this
need
is
to
a process.
I know. So come back to me in like 10 minutes, and I might have this thing open.
Okay. Well,
I love that on the
challenge of the
label.
show.
I love that on the label of that thing, you can tell like the failed attempts at getting rid of the label. You see that nice little marked down edge?
Angel, say hi to Jason.
That's new.
Hi, Jason.
Hi.
Really nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Welcome
likewise.
to NerdWorld.
Well, thank you.
Where's the glasses?
I know. I'm sorry. I actually thought that when I was getting on, I was like, do I wear them coming on to the show or do I put them on after I'm there? Is black the suitable color today or do we want red or pink?
I don't know. You got a little bit of reflection there in the lens.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's step one and step two. We now still have the cork. But
by the end of NerdWorld, he'll have it.
By the end of NerdWorld, Colin will have opened his beer. And
we'll have created a document to give you technical instructions for how to do this yourself at home in case you are faced with the same challenge.
But more importantly, I'm attempting to open a corked beer bottle while keeping it in. While keeping it
in. You're going the right way?
That's not the issue. The issue is I have it balanced on my knee so that I have it in frame while I do it.
Just like this.
This is how we destroy laptops.
Exactly right.
So Jason, we met you on NerdWorld on Office Hours, and you say you've been doing this almost as long as John and I have. And of course I bailed because I have to have actual coffee and actual breakfast in the morning or else I don't function.
Loser. Yeah, you were saying.
What beverages are you usually hiding during during office hours?
I quit drinking alcohol years ago, and
I wasn't suggesting you drink alcohol
Red
every
Bull,
morning. That was not the insinuation in the slightest.
Oh, you're right. It's only 10 past noon. I love that you're like, we here have high standards. We do not imbibe alcohol.
Whoever said that?
Before noon.
It's past 3 o'clock here. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Okay, quick question, Angel. Do some math. In what time zone is it 5 o'clock right now?
Atlantic time. Are they 1
hour
ahead?
In what time zone? Right now in I don't know, somewhere past Brazil.
It's the middle. No, it's the middle of the Atlantic.
Ocean. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this is a little bit too cherry and a little bit
Atlantis.
A little bit too little lambic.
Captain Nemo is there, and who's the other superhero? Aquaman are there. They're having beers.
What was the? I'm thinking of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Who are all the other people who are on Nemo's ship there?
Randy says Colin wins for beer choices.
Thank you, Randy. Randy is our resident brewer.
I feel like you need a hook in order to drink that, or like a parrot on your shoulder or something.
I have a parrot, right? Where's my parrot?
Where's your parrot?
Yeah.
Why isn't he
my Linux keyboards?
Oh, I was going to say, how many of your cables has he eaten through at this point?
A lot. Many. Yeah. Oh, he just flew away. He doesn't want to be.
So I was very.
I'm out.
He's sitting on the TV. Can you see him up there?
I see him.
Since I bailed on Office Hours, I picked up a puppy who I got. He was 85. He was 8 pounds when I got him. He's now 65 pounds. I was very proud that he only chewed through one HDMI cable.
Wait, he's 80. He was 80 pounds and now he's 65. Did you give this puppy cancer? Like,
he was 8 pounds 5 ounces, and now he's 65 pounds.
That was a Freudian slip.
So, give the puppy. Yes. No, I fed him. He was 8 weeks old and only 8 pounds, which he was drastically underweight. Anyway, so he's doing very well. I think, did we have him on NerdWorld last time? I think we tried to get him up on camera.
Colin should know that this is an infected fermentation beer style. Randy.
Yes, that is the definition of a lambic. But thank you, Randy.
Also on today's panel is Mr. Fenwick. Chris, how are you doing today?
Who also is not drinking.
I'm drinking water. Just
Now, there you
plain
go.
old water.
You don't have your pot.
I'm with you, Chris. Just plain old water
It is
in
it is a
my
good idea.
traditional fashion.
So Jason,
Anyhow.
I have a question for Jason. Jason, what
Oh
was,
yeah, I forgot. This is about Jason.
what
Hi,
was the-
Jason.
what was the earliest memory of being fascinated with technology for you?
Oh, good
That's on our
Lord.
list.
That's a good one. I think probably the first time I saw something that was plugged in. I don't remember if it was an FM radio or like, a CRT TV, but it's really been a long time.
So were you crawling around unplugging things and getting shocked?
No, I wasn't that type of stupid. I was the type of stupid that would drop coins in the back of the television.
There's that slot. You may as well, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That's actually a very good question. So, Chris, what's your answer to that question?
Oh, mine's easy. I totally remember at about like 4 or 5 crawling around behind the stereo system. You got to remember this is like mid 60s. And looking,
1927.
I didn't understand how the cassette deck was plugged into the receiver and the turntable was plugged into the receiver, but somehow you could record an album. Like, it made more sense to me that it should be plugged into the turntable should be plugged into the tape deck. That made sense. But I was like, wait, they're both plugged into here.
It's okay.
Inputs and
most-
output.
What does this magic box do?
Yeah.
Most of the world does not understand throughput or mix minus, so I think that's all fine.
Yeah.
As
but-
a 6-year-old, you're excused from that.
As a 6-year-old, you are way ahead of the curve.
Yeah. John,
Yeah.
how about you?
My grandfather was a watchmaker in Chicago, and he had a bench with all kinds of tools on it, all kinds of technology on it. He invented the self-winding cuckoo clock, patented, self-winding grandfather clock, patented. He had like 6 or 7 different patents, and so he was my inspiration in technology.
Well, my parents got divorced when I was 5. One of my first memories.
So much is explained.
Yeah, that unpacked everything right there in a nutshell.
But one of my
Now we
first
know what
memories.
Colin's all about.
One of my first memories was my dad taking me around from room to room, holding me up so that I could flip the light switches. And so my mother tells the story that my first word was on. On, off, on.
At 5 years old.
Near,
Wax
far.
Jason,
And how
what was
many
your-
of these beers have you had today, Colin? I need to ask.
It takes him 20 minutes to open them. Jason, what was your first computer?
This is the restrictive strategy. You don't want to consume too many, so you make sure they're sealed up in a way that's a real pain in the ass to open.
See, now I get it.
Jason,
This
what
will
was
be
your
in the
first
instructions Colin gives us for later.
I'm just
Go
glad
ahead.
Randy approves of my beer selection.
Jason, what was your first computer?
My first computer was an 8086 from AT&T in 1986.
That was a good computer.
Yes, it was. Roughly 15 years later, I dissected it,
Yep.
and it had a good death. And I really should have kept those hard drives because they were actually gold. Like there was.
You can kill people with those hard drives.
I would love to see you try. They were heavy, but
That had a Bigfoot, didn't it?
I don't know.
Well, no, those
Yeah.
were those internal drives at that.
Well, yeah,
point.
they were internal drives. I mean,
MFM. They're MFM drives.
so as far as I know, aside from like EIDE and SCSI, but like the size of the data platters actually hasn't changed. The number of data platters, the thickness, but the 3.5-inch drive has not changed really since 1986.
Those were
it's actually the
super-
same
It's-
size
it's-
box.
Super
It's
well
a working
made.
form factor. Yeah.
That had a Bigfoot hard drive, I believe. That's what they were called, Bigfoot.
Ah,
Really? Was there?
Not that I know anything about old computers or anything.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm dating
I-
myself. I'm sorry, guys. I don't
There
want
you
to
go.
do that.
Yeah.
You're 19, aren't you?
No, I am. Thank
Yeah,
you.
okay, there you go. And what did you do with that first computer?
oh man. Well, nothing incredibly fancy, seeing as I was 4 years old and really just fascinated by it.
Did you play Leisure Suit Larry?
No, didn't exist.
No, Leisure Suit
Not
Larry
yet.
came out in like 86 or something.
Yeah.
I think 85, 86.
No,
Which is crazy because
I had a really shitty pinball game. I remember that much. And
Did you not have a Sinclair or a watch or a calculator prior to their computer?
I had a Yamaha keyboard that would probably be worth a fortune today because it probably was actually an analog keyboard. Other than that, no, not really.
So
When
you
were
play piano today or no?
Oh, no. No, I'm a drummer. I beat shit up and call it music.
And did you enjoy Neil Peart?
Who doesn't?
And we rest in peace, Neil, my favorite band.
Yeah, no kidding. I just kind of hurt my heart. No, I mean, if you could actually play something to the point where it dies, and no, I didn't have vinyl. Why? Because I had shit to do. But like one of the very first CDs I ever got was A Show of Hands, and the Rhythm Method, I feel like I played it for a good 9 months the first time I heard it. It was just a constant. So, yeah, I know a few things about Rush.
Did you do coding on that AT&T computer?
No.
You didn't?
No, I managed to escape coding until I was about 11.
oh, slacker.
Yep.
Wow.
And then
John,
you
how
got
Were you
what?
using?
you were
Basics?
coding it in the single digits, right?
No, not that young.
No, I was coding at like 5 or 6, I think.
I had a trampoline. I had better shit to do. Like
I didn't. I really, really didn't. I had a Commodore PET in '77 and a
With the
I didn't
cassette
have any-
drive?
what?
Cassette drive?
Yeah. Well, we didn't buy the Commodore branded drive because you could get audio an audio cable and just use a regular tape deck and record
Oh, really?
your data to it. It was
My
very
high
cool.
school had Commodore PETs, 2 of them, and we had cassette drives to save our programs on. And they often failed. They wouldn't save right or they wouldn't load your program right.
which actually isn't too much of a departure from today, seeing as during a chip shortage, 2 of the largest SSD manufacturers have just decided we're just going to repackage stuff and call it the same thing. Sorry for the oversight. I'm sure you saw that story.
I did not see that story.
No, I missed that.
Colin?
What? No, I missed it. What are they doing?
I believe it's Samsung and Western Digital had these SSDs that were fairly solid. They weren't top of the line SSDs, but you know, the ones from Samsung that I'm thinking of were M2 SATAs, and the Everymans. I feel like Western Digital was so late into the SSD game that they just decided, you know, we're just going to sneak this in and we're not going to do any marketing, but, you know, we're going to make the Everyman's SSD and, you know, it's going to be a blue drive because, you know, no one wants to buy a black SSD drive for whatever that means. It used to mean something when it came to mechanical drives, but it doesn't when it comes to SSDs. And in this case, they waited about, I don't know, 6 months, you know, waited until they got great reviews from people like us, I suppose, that would do long throughputs and torture tests and what have you. And I don't remember who did what, but basically one of them switched out the higher end SSDs for lower end SSDs, meaning the actual NAND chips. And then the other one completely switched the data controller. And
yeah, okay. That was I remember hearing this is something I heard off of, like Linus Tech
this
Tips
week
or something. But I think it was a couple weeks ago off of like Linus Tech Tips this was mentioned. But I heard it was A-Data that was doing this. The really lower end providers. But it doesn't surprise me that the higher end players are doing the same thing.
Long story short, the way that Western Digital played it off, they're like, we're not going to make any more internal changes, you know, without documenting them. It's like, Dick, you just put a Honda Civic engine in a Porsche, charting it, making a no, not a thing.
Why do you got to make fun of my Civic?
I drive a Civic, so I'll make fun of yours all I want.
I have a very important question to ask you.
Yeah.
On your AT&T computer, what were the first 9
You
interrupts
oversold it, John.
used for?
Wait, you talked over him. What?
I said, on your AT&T computer, what were the first 9 interrupts used for?
That would be setting RAM, right?
No, the interrupts to talk to the peripherals back in the day where you had to set them by setting the dip switches.
My father was a professor of philosophy and religious studies. He got the computer right his first book. We didn't have overrun freaking interrupts. You bougie, like, no. We had a hard drive. It was 20 megabytes. That was great.
That was huge.
Yep.
My first one was 5 and it was $500.
Yuck.
So in Jason's defense, he did properly identify this connector prior to the show.
He did.
Why am I getting credit for that?
Because none of us were able to figure it out in the 5 minutes beforehand.
What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
Would that be African or European?
Yes, right answer.
Okay, now we got to throw John off the bridge.
And so moving on now, because it's already almost the bottom of the hour. What languages do you code in today?
I try to code as little as possible. I'm being quite serious.
Using Node, JavaScript.
I am not good at it, but when necessary, Objective C, C plus if I have to. Let me think. No, I'm just going to stick to those.
Who's
I've done
compilers? You using Xcode?
If I have to. In fact, the last thing I actually wrote is still in the App Store. It's called Legal Flyer, and it creates property releases for drone pilots.
Oh, cool.
What's your creative tech passion?
Media.
Oh man, do I only get one?
Yeah, like well, maybe it's a combination of a few things though that make up something that you like to create though. You know what I mean?
I like using existing technologies to do stuff that people have never seen before.
Like, give me an example.
About a year ago, I created a system for a water park that basically printed out wristbands that were waterproof, did the point of sale, did the database, did the tracking, did the whole thing. Did not cost much, but from soup to nuts, it was basically just kind of a mix of existing things. But, you know, the process of going backwards, like, well, the way that you guys are doing it right now, you go from red wristbands on Monday to orange wristbands on Tuesday, and all I have to do is keep this wristband on from week, and I get back into the water park. You know, from there to your QR code is going to be valid for a certain amount of time. You know, I had scanners at like the top of the slides, the entrance. They thought it was excessive to scan people on the exit, but you know, I mean, you can't be too careful. Plus, I just wanted to play with the barcode readers.
That was this year.
So you identified a bunch of pain points. How many of them were you able to address with this system overall?
All of them.
All of them, really?
Awesome.
Wow.
Yep.
When did you do this? What year? Before pandemic?
Yes. Yes. I went to a water park during COVID, and they had so many problems that weren't the echoing of empty pools.
Who didn't?
No, I want to say it was around 2013, something like that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the whole thing was just completely homegrown, and it was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
And you didn't do a lot of coding when you did this?
No. Again, like, so I don't count taking stuff other people have written, understand, you know, what it is, modify something here and something there, and then smack them together and call that coding. That's not what I mean by coding. That's just kind of, I don't know.
Script kiddie behavior.
Well, no, it's just Frankenstein, and it ends up with spaghetti code. So it's more like I would prefer not to spend the time involved with coding because I am so much better at kind of understanding where and how things should be than actually sitting there with a debugger. Sure, if I were to
explain this to people that don't get it though, because like all these people are at home and they might be listening to this and they think that in order to put apps together, they have to start going home and learning how to program and see. They don't understand that they can use pieces of what's already out there and put things together without really understanding how to code.
I mean,
Well, I'm not sure that that's something you want to teach people. That's not the best
no,
methodology.
but that's kind of what Jason's saying is like, I don't really need to code. I can kind of just get into coding without really coding.
Sure, but his point was that he wrote the apps that he wrote in Objective-C, right?
my point is, first, Swift is so much better than anything I've ever coded in. No, I've never used Rust. No, I've never used Go. And Python is still a snake because, good Christ, is it basically just Java on fire?
Elixir.
Now we're talking.
Supposed to be good. Python, I agree with you. Excuse me. I agree with you on Python, though. Python irritates the living shit out of me.
Long story short, I hope there are no more C's. Like, there just shouldn't ever be anher C.
Well,
because they have sucked from beginning to end.
There's D and there's R. These are actual languages. Was there an E? I thought someone. It might have been a joke. I think E was produced as a joke. But
so have you guys seen Dave's Garage on YouTube?
Yeah. What amazes me. So one of the things that this guy does, I forget his last name. He was one of the first engineer at Microsoft. That's
correct.
And he was not one of the first, but he was a systems engineer there in DOS and Windows 95, DOS, Windows and Windows 95 era, Windows 3.1 and 95 era.
And
yeah, but so one of the things he does is language speed drag racing. Yes. And I sent you the link, but I don't think I watched the whole thing myself.
Oh yeah.
I just sort of assumed that C and C and C++, C and then C++ would be the fastest.
Assembly.
Well, sure. Okay. Assembly, but that's
is this fastest to compile or fastest
to run? Obviously assembly is the fastest to run, any machine code is going to be fastest to run.
He produces an array of prime numbers up to like 1 million. That's his program.
And so he does it in like 30 different languages.
Yeah.
And
it's
do I sound like a pretentious asshole if I'm like, I have shit to do?
That's the whole point.
No,
Why waste time?
Is the thing. You do a lot more stuff in hardware. I do a lot more stuff in software. They're both viable approaches to things.
No, they're both parts of a whole.
That's true too. It's a toolbox. You do what you need to do to achieve your objective.
It's a perfect segue for the next question. What do you do for fun?
Good one.
Good question.
Do you do hiking? Do you like women? Do you like cars? Do you like foosball? Do you like cake? I don't know what
you like men.
Okay.
I like women and men aside from these assholes.
Try.
Good one.
He's not wrong.
No, hiking is amazing here, and it's not actually, it's considered high desert, but it's not really. Our altitude is somewhere between, 5,000 and 7,000 feet, which
is high.
Well, it's high compared to Vegas.
Yeah, we're 2,000.
Yeah, it's
1,500 to 2,000.
Let me put it this way: humidity is not a thing here, but we also don't get roasted. I really like the climate here.
Albuquerque.
Well, you mean aside from college?
Oh, is that the specific reason why you went down there?
I went to Albuquerque to finish my degrees, yeah. And I really liked it. So here's the thing about New Mexico. It is a series of islands amongst a third world country. You drive in any direction outside of any city, and if you can name more than 3 or 4, I am thoroughly impressed. No. Because you are really getting down to the one-horse town definition of a city or a town.
I only drive through.
Do you know historically why you end up with these towns, these islands of?
Well, sure, that they were mining, right?
Is that at all mining towns?
Well, I mean,
I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm asking because I want to know. I wasn't sure.
I think it has largely to do with mining. I think one of our largest exports is still natural gas and oil, which is hilarious because this state is so poorly managed that we take turns with Mississippi being the poorest state in the union. That is an impressive, think about both of those things at the same time.
That doesn't make sense.
What's the population of Albuquerque?
That's a great question. I feel like you could ask Siri and you'd have a much better answer. My guess is
it
around
$500,000.
Yeah, maybe around 500,000. So here's my thing about Albuquerque. Any smaller than that, and it's not a city.
Yeah.
Any larger than that, and shit starts getting weird.
That's right. We're 2 million now in Vegas.
Are you counting Greater Vegas?
Yeah, the whole valley, Clark County.
Got it.
Yeah, it's 2 million. A lot of people. So you didn't answer my question, though. You didn't say what you did for fun.
Well, I was getting there. I love to hike. I love riding my bike. I have a.
What do you have?
I have a Kona Ultima, or no, Ultima. I don't know. It's called a gravel bike. And
so it's part street and part dirt?
Sure. Yeah. Kind of like my gene pool, if I think about it.
Does it have the regular, 10-speed round handlebars, or they're flat handlebars?
No, the handlebars are not flat. They're kind of a combination of the two. If you look at the Kona UNLTD, you'll see it.
Chris is pulling that up right now.
It is the only bike I've ever seen with night mist paint. Remember night mist, the thing you used to see on Camaros where the Camaro would drive past and it would color shift?
Yes, yeah.
I shit you not, this bike does the same thing. And I didn't even realize it when I ordered the thing because it took 6 months to arrive.
Is that a $1,000 or a $5,000 or a $3,000 bike? And what kind of price range?
It was around 3, I think.
Yeah. So, and how big are the tires?
Christ, I don't remember.
They're bigger than road tires, obviously.
They're not beach tires, right? Yeah. They don't look like inner tubes. I would say, I don't know, 29, 27,
they're
something like that.
Between a traditional 10-speed road bike and a mountain bike.
Like a BMX or something,
right?
Yeah.
Adults should not ride BMXs. I'm sorry. I apologize to the people that are really, really good at it, but if you see a grown man on a BMX, you immediately think
Punch him in the face?
Well, no, you think what happened? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one.
I have no problem with a grown man on a BMX bike so long as the first words out of his mouth are, "I won, I won the X Games 8 times" or something.
Sure. If you are an Olympian, you get a pass. What I'm expecting to hear is, "Hey, my name's Ass Hat, and this is Jackass, and watch this."
Ass Hat and Jackhat. I know those guys.
Provide the opportunity for.
I have a question. Was somebody talking? I heard a voice. Did I just cut somebody off?
I think Chris is working.
I'm sorry, Chris. I'm so sorry.
Fenwick is working while he's on the podcast.
Jason, I got stuck on the word degrees, plural. I heard it.
You did? Yes, I do have more than one of them. Is that freakishly uncommon?
Yeah, it is. What are you taking?
I
caffeine
take,
at the moment.
I take sativa. I take indica.
I am honestly too weird for drugs. I really have never even played with them. I know that's strange, but I realized a long time ago that in any crowd, I'm going to be the weirdest person right out of the gate.
If you did drugs, you wouldn't remember the name of that table that Colin showed earlier today.
Yes, I have a very specific set of skills. Skills that I have spent many years acquiring, and now I'm going to spend the next 3 years fucking up the people that have wronged me.
Angel, you bring up a good question because guess what Jason's degree's in? You'll never guess.
I would love to know, but I imagine it's technological.
Yeah.
In nature.
Thanks for playing. We have some lovely parting gifts for you.
Oh.
Jason?
Psychology and business.
Oh. Well, that will suit you well with what you're doing in technology. That will actually drive everything that you need to push you in the right
Jason
direction.
can talk to people as Colin cannot talk to customers.
Well,
you heard that right, Colin?
I think.
Yeah.
Jason
What do you have to
followed
say
the
about
same-
that, Colin? Huh?
I think Jason followed. All right, well, what do I have to say? I think Jason followed the same example that I set. You're welcome to follow in this case. In that you chose
Jason
degrees
off the island yet.
You chose degrees that complemented your underlying interests, because any idiot can learn to be an engineer, can learn technology, but to learn business and to learn psychology requires a great deal of effort, and it's not something you want to experiment with and fuck up in the interim.
Actually, fun story about that. Business school is actually, they don't actually teach you how to succeed. They teach you how to not like get arrested. Right? Like, you know, this is how we incorporate. Like, this is what a corporate veil is.
So was this an undergrad business degree or a grad school?
No, they're both undergraduate.
Oh, okay. Because yes, as in MBA programs, you're right. That's exactly what they teach. But I remember in my undergrad business classes, they stuck us with the classic Harvard business cases. You remember these things? The Lobster House and McCaw Cellular, these companies that didn't exist anymore. Do you remember these?
Yes. Let me guess. Alcoa. You know, ridiculous shit. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Enron.
Right. And the assignment was, how do you address these particular business problems these companies have? And the answer was, go look at who bought them out. and write your response based on that.
You know, the most interesting part about a business degree, for me at least, was contract law. Like, the law part of it was great. Accounting, oh my God. Colin, if you've gone to business school, the douchebags they have teaching marketing are a true, like, they are a special breed.
Oh yeah,
I think actually, like you and
I had this professor who will remain nameless, who taught the marketing class, and then he taught one semester on packaging design as it relates to marketing.
What's wrong with that? That's a good class.
No, that was the most fascinating part of the class that he taught. Otherwise, it was a fucking snooze fest.
That was a good pivot.
It was the most greasy greaseball you've ever come across. But
Jason, is it true that the frontal cortex is not fully developed until you're age 25?
That's actually the median age.
Median.
I thought it was 26, but no. At the end of the day, there are actually adults running around without a fully formed frontal.
Really?
Prefrontal cortex.
Prefrontal cortex.
That's right up there with the brilliant bit of wisdom.
Is that what we saw with the bottle today?
No, the brilliant bit of wisdom.
What's wrong with Colin?
You know, half the people you talk to have below average intelligence, right?
I love you, Colin. Just so you know,
I love you too, dear. I'm just glad you haven't subjected Jason to your "what is the meaning of life and how do you derive significance from your existence" question yet.
Okay, before you go there, I will warn you that I am the product of a professor of philosophy and religious studies and a clinical psychologist. Yes. So have at it. This will not be a.
Okay, Angel. Now that I fucked up your question, go right ahead.
I actually really want to know what Chris was trying to say. It's really my curiosity, guys.
Was Chris trying to say something?
Chris
does nothing. He just sits here and looks baffled and pretends like he's not working while we're on here.
Yes.
Well, actually, now that Colin brought it up, I actually would love to know, Jason, is there something that's really driving you? Do you have a deep mission and purpose right now?
The Angel family. Good question.
So let me just boil this down to what makes you tick.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, let's do that. I started Nerds Limited in 2009, and I realized...
Why are you limited with your nerdship?
Because limited is short for LLC, just like Inc. is short for corporate, incorporated.
I didn't know that.
That's cool. You learned that in business school.
Yes.
I have a degree in business.
Not a very good one.
And when you're done answering that question, Jason, remind me to thank you full-heartedly.
Okay. Well, sure.
I'll tell you why after.
I have no idea, or I had no idea when I started the company, which actually was at first just an assignment. Entrepreneurial business is something that's taught to seniors. And the first day the professor walked in and said something along the lines of, when you see, sophomores or juniors who are in the business program, they finally, they finish their general, whatever they were called, requirements, the necessary history and foreign languages. They're like, man, I'm going to take over the world and I'm going to be like, I'm going to be so rich and all the stupid cliche shit that people say. And then by the time they're seniors, they are so dedicated to mediocrity and wallowing in the auspiciousness of it all that they're basically lumps. And I'm like, this asshole has my attention. I dig this.
You're right.
So he then proceeded to teach an extremely strange, just kind of do whatever you want, laissez-faire semester. But throughout the semester, we had to develop a business plan. And it's the only semester I've ever had to do where everything was in a hypothetical tense. So it was, if my business were to do this. And I'm like, this is the stupidest shit ever. I'm actually just going to go out and do this. I refuse to write 120 pages on something and not actually go out and do it. So to that end, I just started with absolutely nothing and thought, well, I think I can do this.
So if I called your mother, what Myers-Briggs classification would she tell me you are?
I have no idea.
Really?
Yeah. Personality tests, those who are fascinated by personality tests are their own archetype.
I'm an ENTP.
See, you are proving my point.
I have to go with Jason's answer on this one. We did spend a lot of time back in the lab days looking at people's personality test results.
I don't mean to say that they're worthless. What I'm saying is, in the same way that astrology might be insightful to you, or it might be not, but if it does something for you, fantastic. You don't need to argue it on the merits or not on the merits. There is no strong positive correlation that holds throughout one's life with respect to personality tests. In the same way that, Mars with Jupiter rising doesn't mean jack shit about how you feel today. These are boiling balls of gas, thousands and tens of thousands of miles away.
Boiling balls of gas. That's a beautiful.
But if Mars is in retrograde, surely you're going to feel a little bit grumpy.
Stop calling me Shirley.
But yeah,
I'm not done. I'm not done, Colin. I'm going to cut you off. How do you like them apples?
I was going to say, I'm waiting for the answer. I'm on the edge of my seat.
So what I realized when I graduated end of the class was basically, I did about half of the presentation with this stupid hypothetical. I would this would that, if I were to this. And then I'm like, all right, guys, I can't take it anymore. I've actually been doing this for the last 12 weeks, and I made fair bit of money, surprising amount of money. And I'm like, wait a minute. I could actually go get a job. Now, keep in mind, I finished the degrees in 2009, which was not the best of times to try to be employed. Nope. So I tried exactly once. I applied for one job. Hewlett-Packard has a relatively large business wiener think tank in Greater Albuquerque.
Did you say business wiener? Is that what I heard?
Yes, I said business wiener. That would be people with wieners who do the kind of business that I find boring. They are the Bill Lumbergs of the world.
I have to Wikipedia that. Look at
what, Lumberg? Come on, really?
You'll finish your TPS reports and you'll get right to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went for exactly one interview, and
TPS reports and you'll get right to it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
No, I'm coming back.
Echo.
So,
who do we get to blame this on?
It's me.
Okay.
So
I'm getting reports that the stream has stopped and Zoom is not reporting that, but I'm hearing from
it's still live on here, so we're good.
It is. You got it?
Yeah, we're good.
Good.
So at the end of the day, at the end of the interview, I was asked that common question, like, so do you have any questions for us? And I looked them up and down and said, why'd you buy Compaq? I never heard from them. So long story short, I realized that I could start a company. Oh, wait a minute. I had already done that. Like, I had filed the papers because I was so sick of a hypothetical tense. And ever since then, what drives me is the fact that I don't think people actually know where they fit in their own market segment. And it's been a series of teeny tiny little pivots of, do I enjoy this? Am I good at it? Am I getting paid for it the way that I should be? And, and then optimize and do it over and over and over again. And as such, I have hundreds and hundreds of clients. I've been an expert witness. I've done all sorts of stuff. I am about as crazy generalist as it gets, I think. So the vast majority of what I've done, what I'll do tomorrow and the next week, I've never done before, because that's just kind of the way that I roll. So what drives me is the fact that potential is one of these bullshit terms that people talk about, just like intelligence. I know many, many, many people who are brilliant, and nothing prevents you from sitting on your ass day and night eating Doritos, right? Like, potential is just nothing. I kind of want to get the most out of this ride as I can. It's that simple.
Hey, Jason, can I ask you about the expert witness stuff? I think that I've heard you mention it over the last year and a half a couple of times, and I find that kind of stuff to be super interesting. Can you explain a little bit about maybe how you get those kind of jobs, and maybe vaguely about some of the cases that you've been involved in?
I can't talk about the cases, but I could explain the clearance. That's relatively simple. You submit a CV, and you are basically deposed by, there's usually a side that hires you, and then a side that basically wants you to put your foot in your mouth. And they will ask you a series of questions, and at a certain point, the judge will simply say, I accept you as a witness, or I don't. It's actually completely up to the judge. Now, the standard is a little bit different when you are offering expertise in an old as time type field. They would not, no matter how much ER you've watched, if you don't have a medical degree, you're not a medical expert. And moreover, if you...
That's not the way George Clooney would have done that.
Yeah, well, George Clooney is... I don't know, not an expert.
Well,
we'll leave it at that.
No matter how much tequila you drink, doesn't make you an expert in producing tequila. And yet he sold his company for what, $2 billion? So he knows he's doing something right.
Being pretty and on television. I think that's
probably it. Yeah.
Generally how that works.
To your points, though, you were saying in different fields, it's more or less difficult to become an expert witness. So how do you manage to get there the first time? You just offhandedly are aware of an attorney who is interested in your expertise?
No, you answer the questions, completely truthfully.
No, I'm taking another step back. How did you end up in the place where you're being certified? Not how do you be certified as an expert witness? How did you get into the place where you were hired by an attorney for this purpose?
Well, so
it's not a job you advertise for.
I have hundreds and hundreds of clients, and eventually one of them got screwed and had to sue somebody.
Right, word of mouth.
They didn't look very far for an expert in, was this hard drive tampered with? That was the most recent one that I can think of, and about as close as I'm going to get to telling you anything about the case.
Right. Yeah. No, word of mouth is still some of the best marketing on the face of the earth. And you're right. You go from as a generalist or as an independent consultant of one sort or another, you go from project to project, and your expertise evolves and your focus evolves. And yeah, you if you're lucky, you get to do what Jason did and cover a whole bunch of topics that you're interested in. And if you're unfortunate, you end up stuck in a rut somewhere. But
Jason, I have a question.
I guess the question is, how do you avoid getting stuck in a rut and doing the same stuff continuously?
I'm going to answer your question with a question. What's the definition of insanity that absolutely everybody knows, which, by the way, is horse shit? Doing the same thing over and over again. I don't care. It's
That's
like,
been debunked. It wasn't Einstein, but anyways, it's a whole
it doesn't matter. Like, it is as irrational a definition of insanity as insanity is itself insane. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the way you don't get stuck is if you are constantly evaluating. The way I think the saying goes, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you got before. So quit doing the same shit over and over again.
Yeah.
Sanitize your inputs, programmer.
Hello.
And that's exactly that. That's essentially it. Yeah, I find for myself that I end up having to turn down projects that are too like I had taken on 6 months or 8 months ago. They just look for the next project that's different.
Keep in mind, I said the majority of what I do is something I've never done before. It's not that I don't. I would say getting through a project once does not an expert make, right?
No, but getting through a project 6 times does an expert make. At which point you say, how do I find something that's not this?
I would say,
sorry.
Loopy. I need a sound effect for that one. Yeah, at the end of the day, I like getting really good at stuff for the same reason that I think I could watch just about anyone who's really honed their craft. If you are good at something, I don't care if it's water polo, okay? If you are good at it, it is going to be interesting, at least for a little while, for me to watch. At the end of the day, I like getting good at things, and then I like moving on. That's just how it goes. And to me, the sooner people divorce themselves of the idea that they can be a cog in a machine from start to finish, the better off they're going to be.
Here's a question for you, Jason. What do you think about Neuralink?
Neuralink. Oh, yes, bullshit medical thing?
Yeah.
Elon Musk's bullshit medical thing, yeah.
Oh, I'm not familiar with Elon Musk's medical thing. I was thinking about that huge court case that finally came down. The 19-year-old, prodigy who turned out to not be a prodigy was giving away false positive HIV tests. So Neuralink.
You're thinking of Theranos.
Theranos, which cannot be confused with Thanos because that would be Christ.
Neither of which are Neuralink.
He got all the 5 gems in his hand.
That's right. Snap your fingers.
Neuralink is Elon Musk's attempt to connect into the brain.
I've heard of this.
He founded this company, or he funded this company. I'm sure he has almost nothing to do with the actual operation of it.
Okay. Yep. So this is EEG biofeedback as a diagnostic method.
Hopefully it's more significant than that, but yes, biofeedback has been around since the 60s, 70s now.
Actually, as long as we've owned a drill and figured out how to put an electrode in a brain, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Did you see the demos he did with the sheep?
Yes, that was years ago. So what do I think?
No, he was doing one with a monkey a while back where the monkey was playing Pong, right? Wasn't that the newest thing they were doing?
Okay, so keep in mind, if you throw enough computing power at something, you are going to end up with something that will basically look really, really, really impressive. You will map a portion of the brain, and it will be able to do some sort of discrete task.
What do you think the storage size is of the brain?
It is truly unknown. You cannot think of it in binary form. It doesn't work that way. In the same way that when you put your hand in hot water, your brain actually does not feel it. Your spinal cord is the reason that your hand jumps back. Memory, although kind of all throughout the brain, is not one of those things that can be quantified. At least not the way we like to think about data. Doesn't work that way because we've never had free recall in our entire lives. So it's a false equivalent.
Yeah. Going back to your point, though, about throwing enough computing power at something to make it look cool.
Yeah.
How does that explain Elon Musk's most recent outing in public, the Tesla AI Day? which consisted of a guy in a jumpsuit dancing like an idiot on stage.
Yeah, see, some of us have shit to do, and I don't keep tabs on Elon Musk. I do own quite a bit of Tesla stock, and I don't want him to like explode or anything. But
well,
let me
this
finish.
is the thing. This is one of the arguments to dump Tesla stock, right?
No,
So he announced that he was going to produce a bipedal robot.
Yes.
Because all the wonderful work they did developing a marginal autopilot system that isn't really autopilot has gotten them now to the point where they can build a bipedal robot and manage tasks that humans aren't interested in.
So you realize that if you get good enough at throwing spaghetti at a wall, you will end up with modern art, right? Like
I think that summarized. I think you're right. I think that summarizes the experience quite succinctly.
So I don't have deep feelings on these matters because honestly, what Elon Musk does, even if it is 99% crazy, at least 45% of the time, does not matter one iota at all. He is, in the same way that Steve Jobs, I'm convinced, is the reason that we have pretty computers. Elon Musk is one of these people who needs to exist in order to catalyze things. And, you know, he is the professional not giving a fuck what you think. And I got to say, that's fine by me.
Yeah.
Works
for me.
It works.
And
if
that
you've got
brings
enough
us,
cash to throw at these things, then
Yeah.
what the hell?
that brings us to the top of the hour. Amazing.
Wow.
Jason,
We move fast.
thank you so much for spending an hour with our audience and the panel here that we've got. And Angel
Thank
and-
you. That
Yeah.
lets me say my
See you.
thank you because
Yeah.
I'm always focusing on the big why, why we do things, what drives us. And I'm always saying it's what makes you cry. Your big why is usually what makes you cry. But you said something today that might resonate more for people that don't cry. Who cares about what makes me cry? You said it's what makes me tick.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to say thank you for that. I'm going to carry that forward in my messaging. It really resonated for me. I just loved it. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I loved it.
Very good.
Yeah, very nice.
Awesome.
Well, that concludes another hour of Nerd World. How exciting. Thank you, Jason. We'll see you on Office Hours, and we will see you next month with Mr. Greg Curta. We'll see you guys soon.
Thanks
I'm
for joining us.
Ending the stream, and I'll see you guys later.
Will John Pretto ever escape from his white hole? Will Colin Hill ever monetize his breathless pulsoscape? The answers to these and even more of the universe's greatest secrets next time on Nerd World.